Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whenever you are, welcome to Two Men with a Mic.
Good.
He's back.
Hey man, I'm back.
Awesome.
How about you, sir? What are you doing?
I'm enjoying life. Not too bad. My wife still loves me, and my kids remember who I am, and they're all still breathing. So, what more can I ask for?
Well, you could have a sloppy Joe.
Yes, those were pretty good the other night. Sorry you missed out.
Yeah, I am. I'm sorry too. You have a beautiful, wonderful daughter who cooks for you.
Yep, just like her mama.
That's nice, dude.
Yeah, actually, all of them can cook. Just some do and some don't. Because otherwise they would have starved.
Or you'd revert to your bachelor ways, like the way I live, where a taco stand is my food source. Well, that's good. You seem in good spirits.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not too bad.
Did you have a happy Father's Day?
Yeah, it was nice. Didn't do anything. Saturday, Amber and I went down to Santa Barbara and hung out with David and the Grass Mountain Band at Cold Springs Tavern. Did you see that video?
Yeah, I was going to tell you, you did a great job on that video, including the trippy part. Like there's a part where they're playing, I think, what is it called? Table of Creation, which is a instrumental featuring is it called a didgeridoo?
Didgeridoo, yeah.
Didgeridoo, okay. But there's like a long trippy part, and then Mr. Mitch distorted the video at that point. Perfect for what was going on musically. Yeah, it was really great. It actually reminded me of our high school movie days and stuff. I felt good for you. Like, oh, check him out. He's, stretching his creative legs here. And
Gee, thanks, Dad. My dad still likes me.
That's right, son. You made me proud, son. No, I felt good for you because, like, as we've talked about on the show before, doing effects and things like that back when we were making films was actually really difficult and nearly impossible. But today, with all these nonlinear video platforms for editing, you can tweak things pretty good, pretty easy.
Yeah.
And I was happy to see you doing that. It reminded me of you making your own movies, in high school and stuff, like Baptism of Fire.
Yeah. Think about what we could have done had we had this stuff when we were in high school. I mean,
oh, I know.
God, we could have actually made real movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I remember I made a film and it was about a lot of things, but the central idea, it's basically a guy meditating and then having all these otherworldly experiences. But in order to have an otherworldly experience back then, it was like otherworldly experience achieved with the use of a red gel in front of the light. Like it was literally taking a piece of red plastic and putting it in front of a light so that it would look red. Whereas now, like in Final Cut Pro or whatever, you just click to the filters and there's just like all these ways to like tweak stuff.
Yeah. It was really cool. And it's just been a good weekend, I guess. I know that you went and got to hang out with Julia and go over and just hang out with the kids, and Gowan got to play on the swing set. And
he loved her swing set.
Yeah, that was really cool. Just felt like family all around,
Yeah, for sure. So my son was really cute. He walked into your daughter's, like she opened the door and he just walked straight in past her into the house. then visited every bedroom and jumped up and down on every bed in the house. There's a room for a 5-year-old girl and a room for a 8-year-old boy,
Mm-hmm.
and so one is very much like a boy room, and then the girl room is all pink, and it's very much a girl room. But my son went in there, and the two little 5-year-old girls were in there, and he was jumping on the bed and like playing around and being goofy, and laying next to your granddaughter there, the 5-year-old, and her little 5-year-old friend, this other little girl in the room, came up to me and said, um, "Can you get him out of here because we don't allow boys in this room?" It was so funny, dude. And then yeah, he ran all around the backyard, and your daughter has. I know because I looked at backyard play sets. That's like one of the most expensive ones that you can get, and it's really elaborate with like a full clubhouse. It's almost like a 2-story clubhouse on top of you know, stilts, kind of
Right,
above
right.
the ground. And I have a little play set here for him, and he enjoys it. He's having a good time with it, but he's not that interested in climbing up to the little platform that I have, because it's mine is more like a little open platform. But that's Julia, your daughter, has the full clubhouse, and
Yeah.
he went straight up the rock climbing thing, right into that thing, like no hesitation
He's
at
all, this is
all.
mine.
Yeah, he was like, mine, mine, mine. And then he was jumping all around in the clubhouse. He went really high too. Like he went up to sort of the second story in the clubhouse, and he just had a great time. I'm really
Well, that's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad that um all that worked out, and that was very cool of Julia to host you and all that. And just the whole weekend, it felt like kind of like our song of the episode, which is going to be "Good Vibes" by Chris Jensen.
Okay.
um it just good vibes, right? I mean, just everything's okay,
It
you know
yeah, it was a good weekend for that.
yeah.
Definitely. And my brother showed up, and his wife, my son's aunt, showed up on Sunday, along with my sister and her boyfriend of like 20 years or something. And we all took my son swimming.
Oh,
And that was really, I was so happy to see my family, and so happy that they showed up. And then my brother's wife is like a professional swimmer. Like she was on the swim team in high school, and I think she was like the top swimmer. And then she spent a lot of years teaching swimming too. And so my goal is to teach my son to swim this summer. And so I will never force anything on him, but I've sort of gently been introducing him to the water. But my brother's wife was there, the pro swimmer, and she just jumped right in with Gowan, and like before I knew it, she had him like kicking in the water and pushing off the side of the pool and like blowing bubbles in the water, like all the
wow.
lessons. Yeah, dude, he loved her. And yeah, it was really cute, but it was also incredibly productive. Like I couldn't believe what she got out of him. So actually, she said she's gonna like we'll do some more days like that regularly, maybe this week, and so that she can continue to teach him to swim.
That's so cool.
It
What
was
a
good,
great
dude.
weekend.
It was a great weekend. It really was.
Right. That's good vibes right there,
Good
right? That's
vibrations for sure.
good vibrations. Yep. So, you know, Chris Jensen and his it's funny about that song was so um it was a long drive for us Saturday, because driving down there, it was a 4-hour drive each way, right? And we made it in one day. So we drive down there, and we get there, we get into Santa Barbara, and we kind of cruise around and check some stuff out and take some selfies and just kind of walk out on the marina thing. And then we head up to the um, what's the name of the place? Cold Springs Tavern.
Yeah.
Right, which is, it's very cool. It's just up, dude. We're driving up there, and so you're heading up into the mountains, and then you get off the main highway, and there's only one sign when you get off the main highway. You go, and the road is like Y-shaped, and it's kind of like turning into old mountain roads, right? So not very well maintained or anything. And there's one little sign that says Cold Springs Tavern.
Is there another sign that says the hills have eyes?
Well, so we turn, and then we're driving on this road, and Amber's like, Dad, they're not going to eat us, are they?
Because it's the old lonely road with nobody around.
Well, yeah, there's no reason to. In fact, I don't even think the road goes through anywhere. There's no reason to be on that road. There's no lights. There's no reason whatsoever to be on that road. And then you wind down these roads, and then all of a sudden is this like 100-plus-year-old buildings that used to be a water stop for the Wells Fargo wagon.
Oh, wow.
For them to water the horses.
Wow.
And it's now a restaurant and a bar, tavern. Sit out, and they're smoking brisket and prime rib, and it's kind of outdoor seating and great for a Sunday afternoon. But dude, you have no reason, if you don't know about that place, you're never gonna find it. It was like, kind of, what's that vampire movie, Dusk to Dawn, where they got that bar in the middle of nowhere that no one knows about, and then it's owned by vampires. and then they're only open from dusk to dawn, and basically whoever goes there, they just feed on them and then push their cars over the cliff behind them.
Right. I remember that movie.
but no, Cold Springs Tavern was not a vampire hangout.
Are you sure you weren't there after dark, dude?
Yeah. But very fun, very good vibes.
That's cool, and that's what you made the video about, and it was really great to see. It looked beautiful. It's like, this rustic old place in a forest, and it just looked like very happy. Like it seems like it'd be a lot of fun to be there.
Yeah, and Grass Mountain did a great job. A lot of happy people dancing. So it was a lot of fun. We enjoyed it.
Good road trip, sir.
Yeah. But we were coming back, and
then you saw the vampires.
They were following us.
Was it dusk?
It got to dusk. What's funny was, I basically, thank God Amber was there, because then about 3 hours from the house or whatever, because we stopped to eat, right? And we were like 2.5 hours maybe from the house. And then I was just like, I can't, Amber, you're gonna have to drive. I'm done. So Amber brought me home, but what was funny was, of course, I fell asleep, and we're driving, and then I woke up to this song, Good Vibes, and it's just a real cool, positive song. And I immediately texted Mike, and I'm like, here's the song of the episode.
It's divine intervention.
Yep.
That song. But I'm sorry, I cut you off. What did you say?
It's, I don't know.
And that's how we like it.
That's how we roll.
I don't know what I just said.
I don't know what it is, but it fits on here like this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And your daughter had a great time too.
Yeah. She had never. So yeah, I'm up for the award of Father of the Year because I took my daughter to a bar in the middle of nowhere to see a band play.
That does make you Father of the Year. Maybe Father of the Century, man.
Yeah, not many fathers can say what, that for Father's Day weekend they took their daughter to a bar to watch a rock band play or a bluegrass band play.
Dude, I gave my niece and nephew booze for their high school graduation. So
Oh, you go, boy.
I'm up for Uncle of the Year.
Yeah, you're up for Uncle of the Year for sure.
Yeah. I got my niece like a little small bottle of sake.
All right.
And I got my nephew, who's going to be a Marine. I got him like a big, tall can of Kirin beer, which is a Japanese beer, because he went to Japan and he might be stationed in Japan after he goes in the military. So, but I thought, here's a cool uncle action.
Yeah. I'm sure that went over great with his parents.
I checked with my brother first. I asked him if it would be okay. And
aren't you responsible? Where'd that Michael come from?
Well, yeah, actually, I didn't want to make any waves at all. And I mean, it popped into my mind like, man, if I were 18 years old and someone did that for me, I would be totally happy.
I would think they're the greatest uncle ever.
Yeah, exactly. But then, and so I bought the stuff and then I worried about it. So I called my brother and I was like, I'm giving your children alcohol. Is that okay with you?
But at least they weren't 8 years old. They were at least 18.
Yeah. Well, because, dude, that's when it's on anyway.
Yeah.
And like I have a friend and one of his fondest memories now, and he's our age, is the fact that his dad gave him a beer when he was 18. So yeah, so I that's what I was really thinking of. I mean, and now he's our age and he's wandering around in hell internally and externally. And then like the thing he flashes on was, remember when my dad gave me a beer?
Well, I remember when my sister gave me a beer, so I understand that.
Oh, see? Yeah. So
yeah. And then I remember when we got busted by the cops buying beer.
Yes, exactly. See, now I spared my niece and nephew from that event, like being busted by the cops trying to pimp beer.
Yeah, because they got the uncle who'll just buy it for them.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Actually, it reminds me of the MJ philosophy. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. It's like, all right, you guys are teenagers. I know what you're going to do. You're going to drink and you're going to get in trouble. So why don't you just come drink at my house so you'll be safe? I thought that was really wise of her. She probably spared us and her daughter, who was our friend in high school, trouble,
Yeah.
Like acknowledge what's happening, that they're the age for this. And just try to protect them while it happens.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time at the top of Blaine getting hammered.
Yeah, which is amazing. You would never get away with that now. The neighbors would come and get you, and the police would come and get you in no time. But it was a different era when we were growing up. People were much nicer, and I think the police were. Well, I don't know. But we were standing out in the open, in an open lot surrounded by houses right off a main street, and never had any trouble getting totally wasted. But again, I don't think that would happen now if you went up there today.
No, we're not recommending anybody try that now because times are different.
Yeah,
it's not our fault you weren't born yet.
Yeah, I feel really bad for like the millennials and the new generations in
Yeah, they're missing out on a lot, huh?
They are. I think our generation was the last generation of freedom in America, and where there was like civility and respect and tolerance, so you could do something like that and people didn't flip out and the police didn't flip out. It was like par for the course on the path of the American dream.
I think it's time to share the next episode with everybody.
All right, we're going to share it. I've already forgot what it is.
It's Uma Part 2.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Blessings to Uma. We love Uma.
Well, I'm glad we didn't run her off. we she was all like, "Okay, guys, about 15 minutes," and then we talked for like 45 minutes more.
Yeah, I know. But luckily, I mean, she did have a good time, and so she did another episode with us, and I think she wants to do more episodes with us.
Yep. In fact, we've even got an episode coming up with one of her dear friends. So,
oh, that's right. Yeah, she turned us on to this other very fascinating lady.
Yep. So all kinds of different people coming and going and returning, and just a lot of fun stuff. And if anybody out there wants to or has a comment, or you don't have to agree. If you disagree with something, I mean, we might play it. No.
Play it if you agree with us. I mean, we'll
but go on to our website, twomenwithamic.com, and then in the about section at the bottom is all kinds of ways to contact us, and one of them is leaving us a voice message. So anybody that wants to be on the show or has something to say, there's your opportunity. We'll gladly take your comments and see what we can do with them.
Absolutely. We can agree to disagree here at Two Men with the Mic.
Yes.
We are open to other people's points of view. And even if we don't agree with them, we're happy to hear them.
Absolutely. Because we're secure in who we are.
That's right. Which is a field of infinite potential.
Yep.
A morphic field of infinite potential.
Yeah. And also, like my mama used to say, I'm okay, you're okay.
Yeah, exactly. That was everywhere at one point. Remember, there were all like, I'm okay, you're okay, coffee cups, posters, stickers.
Where did that go?
T-shirts. I don't know. It needs to come back now. Very strange to see the way people are behaving these days. Because today it's not, I'm okay, you're okay. It's, I'm okay and you are not.
Or I'm okay and you're totally wrong.
Yes.
But not here on Two Men with a Mic.
That's right.
Yeah, Two Men with a Mic. You're okay and we're okay.
Yeah, exactly. You say potato, I say potato, and that's just fine.
Yeah. And all those other things.
Exactly. Mr. Mitch, I think the time has come to plug Anchor.
Yep. Anchor FM. They've been great to us. They're 100% free. This whole podcast experience Mike and I are doing is basically 100% free. We know nothing about podcasting, or we knew nothing about it, I should say. We're getting better, hope.
But... I was going to say they know that, Mitch.
But yeah, Anchor FM, man. All you need to do is download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's 100% free. Anyone can do it. Just download the app at Anchor FM and start your free podcast. I mean, if you have any ideas or any thoughts, you just download it. You start doing it. That's what Mike and I did, and we are not experts at this. It's really easy.
And if you act now, you'll also be able to download a virtual Mitch who really knows what he's doing.
No, but it's awesome. And, we really recommend anybody who wants to try and do a podcast. You have any ideas,
if
just
you
make a podcast.
Yeah, express yourself to the world.
Yeah.
It's there for you.
Yeah. We encourage anybody to do it. Anchor has been great. It's all free. We haven't bought a thing. We're just using our phones. We have no high-tech equipment. We're just having a good time, and anybody can do it on Anchor. So we really recommend it. Check it out. You can find it anywhere in your app stores, all that stuff. It's Anchor or anchor.fm.
Enjoy.
Yes. And you can give all the information you need, because right now, The deep state is playing with all this information, right? They're also pretending to be right wing, and they're also doing something, and they're also feeding lies through the right wing media. And I see that left and right. I see that
Yes.
left and right. For example, Arnold Schwarzenegger made a movie about veganism. I was watching it. I was like waiting for the catch. Guess what he did? He said tofu is so good for your body. Bullshit. It's all GMO'd, and they're saying it's good for your body. So he was literally very indirectly trying to sell soy.
Yeah.
So, they're trying to pretend like they're doing good, but what they're doing is they're very, very subtly, they're injecting some information. So what does the person who doesn't have their third eye open, who doesn't have their chakra open, who is not taught the traditional way of living as a human do? They're going to say, oh, tofu is good for you. So one of my friends came and said she's a weight trainer and she runs her own gym. She comes and says, "Oh, Uma, I saw this movie from Arnold Schwarzenegger. Did you watch it?" I said, "Yeah, I did." She's like, "Well, what do you think about it?" I said, "Yeah, I'll tell you what he's trying to do. He's trying to sell soy, again, another genetically modified product."
Right.
So this is where people have to forget about religion, forget about everything. Literally connect to Mother Earth. Connect every day.
Hmm.
Put your feet on the ground, like open your chakras. Stop eating those things that are causing your chakras to close. Stop using fluoride based products. I actually stopped using the toothpaste, that normal toothpaste, 25 years ago in the US. I knew immediately there was something wrong with the toothpaste because when I was brushing, my gums were bleeding. I stopped it and I used an Indian toothpaste. And to this day, that's what I use. Because here's the thing about India, right? India has so many herbal remedies that are integral to the system. Nobody will come and tell you, oh my God, I read a report that turmeric is good for you. Because what they have done to US citizens is they have literally taken everything out of them, made them into a robot, and they're feeding them information that is wrong.
Hmm.
So we have to come out of this robot kind of mentality and literally become a human, because what they've done to the US community is transhumanism. That was
Yeah.
part one of transhumanism.
Yes.
So out of all of this, and I'm not trying to necessarily change the subject, but I'm curious, and I'm sure it ties in to all of this, is your book, The Lion's Wisdom. How does that
Mhm.
fit in this?
Oh, very good question. So, 2012, I had the awakening, and in January of 2013, right February or something, I was sitting. It was right before my birthday, and I sat and I said, "You know what, dear God, I really understand you better than ever before, and I want to understand what love is." And I went into Amazon, and I don't remember the details, but there was a book called the Book of Love and Creation, right in front of my eyes. If I had not had the awakening in 2012, I would not have appreciated that book. The book is written by a guy named Paul Selig, and that book um, turned my life around and it awakened my chakras. It's a good book for people who are Christian and find it hard to embrace the Hindu, basics of Hinduism. That book, literally, I would say read the first book, which is the I'm the Word series. The first book literally opens your chakras in the prologue. In the prologue, it awakens your seventh and sixth chakra.
And what's the
And
name of that author again?
Paul Selig, I will send you guys an email as well. Selig is his last name. He's a New Yorker. And I read the book, and that actually changed my life. About a year later or so, a couple of years later, Paul Selig was in town. I went to visit him, and I was attending one of his workshops, and I said, he channels entities and guides and angels and whatnot. And just so you know, I no longer do readings, just so that I'm present to my own grounding and my own energy. So I was like, I asked a question like, "What's my purpose?" And he was like, "You know what? You don't need a purpose. You have to find your own purpose." And that was the best thing he could have done. So I came home the next day, and his third book, there's a chapter called the Wisdom Chapter, and I was reading it. And I pulled the chapter because it's my favorite chapter in the entire series he has written. And he has written probably 7 or 8 books now. The wisdom is about aligning yourself to your own wisdom. And this is what Mike and Mitch we were talking about right now. There's so much information out there. Aligning to our own wisdom it's such a deep well, it never exhausts. So I aligned to my own wisdom and I said, okay, what do I do now? And I took a pen and a paper and I started writing. In literally 5 minutes, I started writing a chapter. I kept writing. And in 21 days, I wrote a book. Every day, I woke up an hour and a half to two, I would write a chapter, and I was done. And that's how the Lion's Wisdom came about.
Interesting. And so, what is the book about?
The book is about, a lion. He's imparting wisdom to human consciousness.
Mm.
And I enjoyed writing the book. But here's the thing. I have to take a step back. The Lion's Wisdom was not the first book I wrote. The Lion's Wisdom was the first book I published. The first book was a different book I wrote. And every time I wrote, information would just flow. And it was like I was in a bubble. I wouldn't think, see, it surpassed your brain. You're not thinking, you're just typing and typing and like words and concepts and ideas and information would just keep flowing. And that's what I did. And in 21 days I had 21 chapters. And once I was done with the book, I said, you know what, I'm too exhausted, I can't write anymore. I said, okay. And a month and a half later, I said, you know what, I think I'm ready to write, meaning in a couple of months. But literally the next morning I was woken up, I would get my arms tingling and I would be woken up at like between 5 and 5:15 a.m. in the morning, and I would start writing.
Wow.
And that's how it started going. And I'm not an author, I'm not a writer. I've never, ever, ever been interested in putting together something. Although very nonchalantly, I would say, "Oh, it'll be nice to write a book." That was like not like very like, I wasn't like really like, "Oh my God, I really need to do it." It was, "Oh, it'll be good to do it." So that's what I wrote right after I quit my job while I was running my food business.
Mm-hmm. Well, so this also ties in with a Christian idea, and so Christians would say God has a plan for you, and
Mm-hmm.
then I think the Hindu and like Buddhist version of that is that there is a plan for you, and it's basically to dissolve your karma. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you follow your intuitions, you're you're basically following what God has outlined for you, in the form of sort of a karmic path that enables you to like revisit and correct causal karma that you've created. So
Correct.
yeah, so a Christian might say God has a plan for you. Get in touch with God so that you can fulfill the plan. And a Hindu or a Buddhist might say, yeah, follow your intuitions because it's going to take you exactly where you need to go to dissolve your karma. Is
So
that
I'm gonna take it a little bit higher. Okay.
okay?
So I'm gonna send you guys this amazing blog, but you have to have a lot of so I think I'm using the wrong words, but just bear with me. We need a lot of courage to read this man's blog, and I'll send it to you. Okay, and a lot of information about Hinduism and everything I learned from this guy. So basically, in Hinduism, there's nothing called a god per se. There's the morphogenetic consciousness field.
Mm-hmm.
The morphogenetic consciousness field is everything, and that is the prime God, which is your own energetic makeup that is surrounding you. When
Mm-hmm.
you're born, your job is to expand that morphogenetic consciousness field. And according to this guy, his name is Ajit Varakayal. According to this guy, he writes, in Bali, there are certain temples that doesn't have a god in the center. And the theory that has been created is that, oh, there's, all these, statues were looted and blah, blah, blah. But actually they're worshiping the morphogenetic consciousness field.
Hmm.
When what is karma? And it is slightly different from what you're talking about God's plan. In God's plan, you're sort of giving up your free will. And I'll explain what I mean, okay? This is by means no disrespect, only an explanation. In the morphogenetic conscious field, it is clearly tied to your karma. And something is brought to you, you have a choice. You're not going to ask God, is this right for me or not? You have to, with your own free will, choose what's right for you, and by your soul's choice, to expand that morphogenetic consciousness field. Because when you have seven chakras, right? If your seven chakras are not awakened, you're not going to be able to feel the morphogenetic consciousness field.
Hmm.
So the reason I want to be careful with God's plan is, let's say you're only your first chakra is awakened. There are a lot of people, I'll switch to this even in Hinduism, where, oh, that's fate. No, fate can be used as an excuse to not do something. Fate doesn't work like that. So when you are raising your first chakra to your second chakra, you're conscious, you're constantly expanding your morphogenetic consciousness field.
Hmm.
When you're not working on your chakras and elevating yourself on your chakras, you will be like, this is all it is. And something comes along and you're like, well, that's fate. I've seen a lot of people use fate as an excuse.
Hmm.
And fate is very beautifully explained by this guy as well. But going into it will be another big conversation. I want to get back on track. The thing is, you have to understand your own soul self. Your own soul is part of God's plan, anyways. It is the God that is walking you down the path. And why not seek the soul's guidance rather than something that we think is outside of ourselves? Because sometimes people think God has a plan. They're looking at it from an outside perspective. Only when you put God inside yourself, you can take that accountability for yourself. Does that make sense, or am I rambling too much?
No, no, it makes sense. And so basically your books, you might say you channeled them, but really what it was is that you're so connected with what you would call the morphogenetic field that is God. You're directly fulfilling God's plan, right? Like that's the information that you are supposed to be presenting. And so the book wrote itself. Is
Correct, correct. That's a very good way to put it. So I don't sit and think. There are times, and we haven't even talked about my artwork, which we don't have time to talk about. My artwork takes it to another level. I'll just lightly touch upon it. When I started doing my artwork, I had never, ever, ever drawn anything in my life other than my biology record when I was in my 12th grade.
Hmm.
If you see my patterns today, like when I first started downloading the patterns of my work, I was flabbergasted because I am not an artist.
Hmm.
How I got those information is, it's we have to even elevate further from that. When we literally open our channels, we become a conduit as part of the consciousness. We're not separate from the consciousness. So rather than it's me doing the work, the consciousness is working through me. So my
Right.
artwork is one thing I can tell you with confidence. It was just, when I say it's not me, it's not like some entity got into me and started doing this and that. No, that's not what I'm talking about. It's my body became one with the cosmic body and consciousness. So there was no distinct between me and consciousness and the morphogenetic consciousness field, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it does to me. Does that make sense to you, Mitch?
Mitch is like, I
Yeah.
don't know what she's talking about.
It does.
Well, on the subject of your art, would you call it sacred geometry?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
So, what happened is, so this is what brought me back to Hinduism. So, if you look at uh, the nature, if we can take Hinduism out, we can take Christianity out, just go back to nature. Nature has all the answers for it. So, in nature, everything does in a very spiral fashion.
Hmm.
And you haven't seen my artwork, right?
Looking at it, could I? Okay, so would you say so? There's a morphogenetic field, and then in a Christian sense, they say God is love. In
Hmm.
my own experiences with my most successful meditation, that's what I experienced, that everything is made of love. And then I've also heard it described as the vibration of love. I've heard it
Mm-hmm.
described as consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
awareness,
Mm-hmm.
pure intelligence. So could it be said that like there's this field of infinite potential that is love, that is consciousness, that is awareness, that is intelligence, and then from that field there's another layer of sacred geometrical patterns that form the illusion that we're in on the top? Is that how it works? And is that what you draw pictures of?
I think we lost her again.
Oh. Now, why would the intelligence community be mad about sacred geometry?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear everything I said?
Yes, I heard everything
Okay.
you said.
So is
So
that
the
kind of
thing,
accurate?
let me give a different perspective to this, and I think what I'm thinking is we as human beings, even going to talk about my own personal experience. I had a very hard time accepting certain things when I started on this journey. And why is that? Because I wanted to understand everything. When we try to understand consciousness, God consciousness, morphogenetic consciousness field, we kind of are losing an element of, uh, what do I say, curiosity. And so then we get wrapped up into this whole linear way of thinking. This happens and that happens, and that on top of this is there, and then it's there. If we understand that morphogenetic consciousness is a big blob of something and we're inside it, part of it, integral part of it. So, as long as we think something out there is separate from us, we'll keep questioning all these things. One of the best ways, Mike, to experience this is just experience it. So for me, the artwork, I didn't have any questions. I didn't question what it is. I just, I was brought to the space. I won't say I'm this big person that could do this. I'm not going to say that. What happened is I was brought to that place. And that's the best way to experience consciousness and spirituality. I was organically brought there. And without me interfering, and the key word is interfering, without me interfering, I just started downloading patterns. And when you look at yourself as a human being, the DNA, the cells, the atoms, the molecules, everything is a morphogenetic consciousness field pattern.
Mm-hmm.
It is a geometric pattern. So when we are looking at something and saying, oh, geometric, it's this and that, we kind of lose the sense of the actual essence of what it is. When we want to be spiritual, the best part, and this is a lesson for me and from myself, is to not try to interpret it. When you don't interpret something, the experience is beyond your imagination. So my artwork, when it showed up, I didn't say, oh, I was scared like crazy. I'm telling you, I was so scared, you can't believe it. Because I started drawing literally overnight. Overnight, I woke up the next morning, I started drawing. It doesn't happen to humans that way. And am I going to say I'm special? I don't think so either. I didn't even know how I arrived at that point because what happened was a non-linear experience.
Right.
Can I ask a question on your artwork? You had said earlier about your artwork that it is kind of up for interpretation, right? You're not saying what it is, and so I was just curious, is that because I noticed when I was looking at it, and it was very cool, by the way, I really liked it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
Is that why I noticed? I know there's nothing's labeled. There's no names of,
Mm-hmm.
like, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't say, man by the sea or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that why you didn't put a label on it, was so that people could see what they need to see without you pulling them in that direction?
Well, there's several ways I could answer that question. First of all, when I was drawing, it was not through information that I drew it. So it's not even like I'm leaving it up to your interpretation. I'm saying don't interpret it. So why
Okay.
would I say that?
There seems to be like a concept in spirituality that the minute you define something, you destroy it.
Exactly. That's where I'm
Oh,
trying to
okay.
get at, Mike.
Okay, well, yeah,
That's
that's what I was
exactly.
getting at. That's why you didn't give
Yeah.
it a
So
name, right? Because you would
no. So yeah, I didn't do it consciously. Like this is what I want to do. The way the whole thing panned out, that's where it led me to. I was
Mhm.
giving, you're drawing. You when you don't know what's the next line you're going to draw, other than when I was drawing, I only knew what I was going to do now. It is completely talk about being in the moment. My art was the key for the thing is, as I was drawing, I didn't get information that's saying, oh, you know what, this is what it is, go and do it. I had no information, it came from nothingness. So what happened is, as I was drawing, a week later, there's one diagram that has this green lines. If you look at it, it's like perpendicular lines and kind of like all these swirls. And that particular drawing, it moved me by leaps and bounds.
I like the purple one.
The purple one is also good, yes. But there's a story behind that green one. Like for me, I literally didn't know what was next. So when you don't know what's next, it creates a pattern that is not attached to your ego.
Right.
It
Right.
it
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
comes from a very different place.
Yes.
So when I finished the diagram, I was wowed by it. Since that diagram, I have done several that are even more beautiful than that. But for me, that is the drawing that I was moved to. Like I can't explain. It was a moment of like, oh my God, I cannot draw something like this again. I cannot recreate any of my artwork.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been able to.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at that particular diagram, there's very precise lines, but none of them are precise. It has so many imprecisions that for a naked eye, you cannot see it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't use like a ruler and say, okay, it's 1 inches, 1 inches, 1 inches. I just kept drawing. And even the lines are not straight. But
Yeah.
it gives you that illusion that everything is precise.
Right.
So when actually, you can do chakra awakenings through my drawing. When you pull my drawing out and you sit with it, you can feel either all or one of your chakras vibrating. And this is not me. That doesn't happen to me, just so you know, disclaimer. It doesn't happen to me. People who sit with my artwork have called me and said, hey, this is happening to me. What do you think it is? I usually say, so just sit with it. Don't
Yeah.
interpret it. So the whole point of interpreting something, because you're trying to bring your humanness into it and trying to interpret something that you don't have any knowledge about. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot interpret something that we don't have any knowledge about. So I personally don't have any knowledge about these artwork.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't interpret them and put a title on that because I am literally disqualifying the infiniteness within it or part of it by by sort of like describing what it is. I myself cannot describe it. When I was drawing, I would be thinking about a certain color and I would reach out and pick up, and a different color would show up in my hand. And I would never say, oh, this is not what I thought. I would say, oh, maybe I'm being guided. And I would use that color, and it would be the most beautiful artwork. So
Mm.
I had to literally take myself out of my drawing.
Right.
And while I was drawing, I was led to how to use the drawing in order to heal. I
Mm.
wasn't, I did, nobody sat in my ear and said, okay, this is what you do with a human. You show it to them, you'd ask them. No, as I was drawing, I knew it. And I
Mm.
had a session with 10 of my friends. All of them had certain vibrations in their body. The only way you don't have a vibration in your body is when you're not open to the artwork or the work that I'm presenting. And that
Right.
happens, and that has happened to me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no interpretations. It is literally sitting with it, getting the vibrations and frequencies for
Mm.
yourself. What is interesting about this, it's not the diagram. It's a portal to the cosmos. When you start looking at the diagram, you see something beyond the drawing. And therefore, I ask people not to get attached to the pattern itself. Get beyond it. Get beyond it. You know how much people struggle doing that?
Yeah.
So if people want to see your artwork, and review your books and stuff like that, where can they go to find all of the information about you?
So, okay. First, the book is on Amazon. You can order it from Amazon. Second, I between January 2nd, 2020, up until October of 2020, I drew over 200 diagrams. And I couldn't upload all of them. So what I'm doing is I'm just doing in portions so that I can maintain some sort of sanity. Because if I put all of them, people are going to go berserk. I had people. It's true. It's too many, options. And I had a friend who comes and who looks at my artwork. He said, past 10, he cannot look at them. It's very difficult for him. And I've had several people say after 10, it's too overwhelming for them.
Mm-hmm.
And this friend who couldn't see past 12, he said when he goes home, there's a cleansing happening. He either is in the bathroom all night or something happens. So it's true because you're purging, right? You're purging stuff from your body.
Right.
So it's, I would say if you want to see anything more than that, I can share in pieces of 20 so that you can maintain your own sanity, not for the sake of me. And I'm also trying to find a way to get it out. And to be honest with you, I've only sold 2 of my artwork. I haven't sold many.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not a marketing person.
But you have your website, right? Where people can go and find everything.
Yep.
What's the website?
It's www.umashankari.com. I'll email it to you, the details as well.
Could you spell it for us?
Uma SHA as in apple, N as in Nancy, K as in kitten, A as in apple, R as in Robert, I as in indigo.com.
Can I ask you? So, I'm divorced, and I have a 4-year-old son, and my ex-wife is from Thailand, and so she was raised to be a Theravada Buddhist. But so I'm completely spiritual, and I think the United States is being destroyed, and I'm not sure it's going to turn around. I think talking to people like you and you sharing this information is going to help to save, like not humanity and America. But I often sort of think about moving to India, because for my son, I don't want him to go to an American school. I want him to go to a spiritual school like in India where he would be taught the truth. I don't know do you know Sadhguru?
Mike, I'm going to send you to this guy's Ajit Vadakaya's website. He has written 163 parts of something called Sanatana Dharma. Okay. What Sanatana Dharma means is timeless Dharma. It's going to change your world, I promise you.
Okay.
I usually don't send people to his site because he's very brutally honest. Yes. I only send people who can take his honesty. And he doesn't mince his words. He does not mince his words. And sometimes it's off-putting, but he speaks the truth. My suggestion would be, there used to be so many schools called Gurukuls. Okay, Gurukuls were destroyed by Western invasion. They want to portray Indians as, beneath, that they don't know his education. We're going to teach them, blah, 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 all that stuff. So one of the things I'm looking at is opening a school that teaches this 163 parts of Sanatana Dharma. So before Hinduism, which was made into a religion, Sanatana Dharma means timeless Dharma. So nobody followed anything. It was literally, you were born and you started following the principles. Moving back to India is amazing. Moving back for me was literally awakening. But you really need a stomach for this. It is not the way, it's not like you go out and, it depends on where you live, what you want. If you don't mind living in the boondocks, India is a great place. Bigger cities are different, don't even get me wrong. I myself have wanted to move somewhere to a remote place. My sister passed away 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was very traumatic, very sudden. not planned. We didn't see it coming. The reason I moved to India was to be with family, and this is why I was talking about when I started. Like, to be with family is important. Move, definitely, I recommend it, but make sure the child still has connection with the family and everything. And the gurukuls have been destroyed and they don't exist anymore. And the ones that are there, they are doing good, but I wouldn't say they're doing fabulous. I have to find one where they are teaching the basics of the Sanatana Dharma. What I
Mhm.
would recommend is reading this guy's blog site. It is amazing. He speaks the truth. A lot of what I speak comes from his blog site, and I'm telling you, he is not lying. He talks about, he knows everything about the American judiciary system, to the Indian judiciary system, to the Australian judiciary. He does. The way he does this, when you utter the word mantra Om, it forms a chimeric pattern, and that's a sacred geometry. He is called the Sri Yantra. He is able to sit in the center of the Sri Yantra and analyze the truth. And he has done brilliant by doing that. So he doesn't look for sources. He does something called speed reading, where he can read thousands of pages of book in like a literally like a short period of time. He
Mhm.
can discern it and spit it out, and he can go into the Sphota thing. He calls it the Sphota thinking, Sphota. He goes into the Sri Yantra, sits in the middle of the Sri Yantra, which is called the Bindu, and he discerns the right information. And it is fascinating.
Hmm.
What I would suggest is not to follow gurus. I'm not a big fan of Sadhguru. I think he's totally a deep state guy. This is my own interpretation.
I
When
was
a
going to ask.
person,
Yeah,
he
I've
is
been worried about him.
he is something to be worried about. The humanity needs to be worried about him.
Do you
He
think the deep state made him?
absolutely, he talks in the UN. Who is allowed to talk in the UN?
Right.
Really? You and I cannot go into the UN and talk,
He
but
said
this man can.
stuff that makes me think he's bad news.
He is bad news.
Yeah.
Absolutely bad news. One of the things about Sanatana Dharma is you don't follow gurus. The ways gurus lived in ancient India, they were all 12 stand Maharishis. They had nil ego, zilch.
Hmm.
They downloaded information from the Akasha, and then they gave it to the children. They
Yeah.
did not come up on their own. Sadhguru, on the other hand, comes up on a lot of things on his own, and he's a fraud. People
He,
need to call him out on that. He's a total fraud. I would not believe him for a second.
oh my God.
And and for me, right from when I was young, I wanted things from my own. I didn't want a guru because there's a lot of gurus. There are a lot of priests in the Christian community. There's a lot of gurus in the Hindu community. There's a lot of Buddhist monks in the Hindu community, Buddhist community, and there is the Dalai Lama, who everybody thinks is a great deal. No, go
Actually, I've
into
heard
yourself.
terrible things about him too. The Dalai
Yeah,
Lama.
he's a horrible. He is part of the deep state.
He's the
He
deep
is
state.
part of the deep. He is part of the deep. Because here's the thing: someone came and told me, "Oh, do you know the Dalai Lama eats meat?" I said, "Who fucking cares?"
He
That
also
makes
got
the
vaccinated.
you know what I mean? He's not. He does not make the choice for me that I can eat meat. It gives people a lot of excuse. Listen, eat meat. Don't eat meat. It's up to you. But don't use Dalai Lama as an excuse to eat meat. It's bad news.
He also got
So
vaccinated and promoted the vaccine.
anybody who's promoting the vaccine is part of the deep state.
Yeah.
Anybody.
And actually, Sadhguru promoted the vaccine too.
He kind of mixes it up so that people don't find out who he is. He's very clever in that. He kind of mixes it up.
Yeah.
Once in a while, he'll say this, but my thing is, I think he's a Freemason because there is centers for Freemason all around India. All through India, there are Freemason centers. I
Uh,
think a lot of gurus belong to the Freemason. Vivekananda was a Freemason.
yeah.
So we have to be careful with what's coming out.
Yeah.
We need to get into our own, knowledge and wisdom and deep well, and drink out of it. And that takes courage. That takes, even though I know so much, I still wobble. That's part of my journey. But
Yeah.
don't wobble and fall into someone else's cesspit. And that's the worst thing you could do for yourself.
Yeah.
So I do not listen to Sadhguru at all. I do not listen to Sri Ravi Shankar either. I think everybody's hocus pocus. They don't know what they're talking about. They're also disseminating information that is not true.
Mm.
Especially Sri Ravi Shankar, he's trying to propagate this LGBTQ thing in a big time by using Hinduism.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
yeah, they're all part of this whole big plan.
Yeah.
So read this, it'll give you some information. Even Mitch can read it because it speaks a lot of truth.
Oh,
And Mitch, if you read this, this man knows Christianity in and out. So
Okay,
watch out.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
he
I'm
does.
I'm open. I had a question though.
Mhm.
I'm listening and to the stuff you're saying, and kind of a common thread, and I just wanted to see if as a summary, if this sounds about right as far
Mhm.
as what you are saying here, and at least as a part anyway, is that your number one thing that we're saying here is that stop listening to all the people out there and figure it out for yourself, what you need or what you want to do. Is that what you're
Correct.
saying?
And it's also, I want to even add a little bit more because then people have their own ideas and they start thinking that. I would say go deeper, meditate, feel your body, feel your experiences, and then come to a conclusion. Because what people do is, well, this is what my body is saying. Even spiritualists, I'm telling you, Mitch, I've talked to a lot of spiritual people. This is what my guides are saying. And I'm like, no, that's not what your guides are saying. You're just making it up so that you can do what you want to do. So
mm,
that's also dangerous. So literally, take your spiritual practice, sit silent, meditate, do yoga, walk, be in nature. These are some of the key things that will lead you to the truth. And of course, a big part of it is your eating habits. It's so important what we put in our mouth.
do you have a technique for meditation that you would share?
I really don't. What I do is
Uh,
Shoot, we lost you again.
this is critical. I want to hear this.
You got to put another quarter in the machine, Mike.
Uh,
The operator's
where
on
does
there.
it fit on the iPhone? I'm trying to put a quarter in here.
Yeah, the operator's on there. Please deposit $1.25 for your next 30 seconds.
It probably wants Bitcoin or something.
hello, I'm back.
She's
Okay,
back.
your technique for meditation.
Yes, I did. I was talking and it got disconnected. So I'm gonna share on my experience. Okay, I've done a lot of meditation. What happens with meditation is people find it really hard. Instead, the thing that you're so passionate about, so passionate about, do it. When you do it, you get lost, and when you get lost, that where you are is meditative. Sit with nature. Just look at the pond. That's meditative. And then sit with yourself. See, the thing is, when we're alone, we have a minute. We're like, oh, let me reach out to my cell phone and see what's happening. Let me turn the TV on. Why not do nothing and just sit? And that sitting, when you practice it, it naturally takes you to the meditative state. Having said that,
Mhm.
my most exhilarating experience of meditation was Vipassana. And there are free centers throughout the US. They give you free food, free boarding, and you can stay for 9 days and get some meditation on you. You
Can
have
you
to sit
spell
for,
that?
I will send that. VIP as in Paul, A as in Apple, SANA, Vipassana.
Okay.
And I've done it. There's one in New York, there's one in Chicago, close to Chicago, an hour and a half. It's based on Buddhism, but I'm going to tell you, it comes from the roots are in Hinduism.
Yeah.
Vipassana is a 9 day meditation. And they say once you do that, you can't go to any other forms of meditation. I don't agree with that. And there are certain concepts about celibacy, which I don't agree either. But the mode of meditation is excellent.
Mhm.
However, you really have to be prepared for this. For 9 days, you can't speak to anyone, you can't look at anyone, you can't look at your phone, no TV, nothing. You're going to sit for 12 hours a day meditating, 12,
Mm.
14 hours a day.
Did
And
is it like with a mantra or something?
I have no idea what the mantra is. Oh, mantra. No, no, no. Mantra is different. We'll talk about, I think we should talk again, guys. I
I
enjoyed this
want to.
conversation so immensely. I
Yeah.
will talk about mantras when we talk, especially the Gayatri mantra. We'll talk about it in the next one. And Mike, there is an article this guy has written, Ajit Parkal, entirely on Gayatri mantra. It is about the morphogenetic consciousness field and the quasar. So I'll send it to you. So the mantras are a little different. Mantras take you to that state of meditation, but it's more to that. It's sound resonance and sound frequency healing your DNA. That's what mantras are for. Meditation is the other aspect of it, quieting your mind, sitting with yourself, and feeling your body. My thing is, one of the things I highly, highly, highly recommend is any emotions that pop up in your body, just be with it. Just be with it. Just be with it. Just be with it.
Hmm.
Don't try to suppress them. When we suppress them, we're going against the whole meditative state of our body.
Okay. So you said that the word, when you say it creates a pattern, and you said it was some kind of, what was the name of the pattern?
It's called Sri Yantra. Sri Yantra. I'll type it in the chat here. It's called Sri Yantra.
How do you
Sri
spell that?
Yantra. It's SRI, Shri,
Uh-huh.
space YAN as in Nancy, TRA.
And that's a pattern, a Sri Yanta pattern?
Yes, it's a Sri Yantra is a pattern.
Okay.
It's actually the merging of the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and there's more to it. And that's the one that I was telling this guy sits in the center called the Bindu and looks around. The Sri Yantra is a powerful tool and it's a vibratory tool. When you say Om in pure water, not dirty water, not like contaminated water, in pure water, it creates the Sri Yantra pattern. Om is at the frequency of 7.83 hertz. The earth is spinning at the frequency, it has a sound as well. The sound with the earth is also at 7.83 hertz.
Yes, that's what I understand. Mitch, I want to do another show with her. So can we do that? I'm saying this is the new show, and she's on every show now.
Guys, you'll start hating me. I still want to love you. I have a little bit of ego. Like I still want to love you to love me. So you don't want me on every other show.
So
Can I ask you one more thing, though, really quick?
I hope you didn't have any plans today.
Yeah. It's such a delight for me to talk to you. It's really a delight, and so I'm so grateful to be speaking to you. But like, what part of India do you live in? Because obviously you can live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I didn't let you finish your question.
Well, you were saying like in India, it sort of depends on like if you want to go to the boondocks. You said then India is great. So like, what part of India do you live in?
I live in Chennai. So here's what happened. What happened in the 60s in the US is happening in India right now.
Okay.
Just think about this. So major cities are all going like, this vaccination stuff is getting crazy. People are taking it to another level. I'm telling you, the worst people on earth are the expats. They all come with a big freaking mask on their face and they just drive me nuts. But otherwise, the people who are the simple people, just like, if you go to any small town in the US, if you go to the South, people are very different. If you go to Chicago, New York, it's a different deal. That's exactly how it happens here. But the beauty of this place is there is so many ancient temples. And Mike, you're going to love this. All these temples are like, some of them are like 3,000, 4,000 years old. Wow. And Wikipedia is telling they're all like 1,000 years old. They're all lying through their teeth.
Yeah. How do you spell that area that you're in?
Chennai, Chennai, Chennai.
I think we have listeners there. We actually have a good portion of listeners in India.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's awesome. You know what? Here's the thing. I want to offer this. If you guys ever come to India, you have a place to stay.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah, you do. Just, I just got newly married. I got married in February.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. And me and my husband just set up a 3-bedroom apartment. Of course, we live in an expat community, but that's okay. We can ignore them. So, come around. We both are very down to earth. We will take you to places. Chennai is actually a very ancient city, and it has a lot of things to offer. Plus, it has that, vibe of like that coolness and like the Western thing as well. But the neighboring area, there's a place called Mahabalipuram, which is a very, very old ancient city. So yeah, I mean, I've been everybody that talks to me, I said, come on over. It's beautiful. You'll love it. Just be ready for an adventure and cool new experiences. That's it.
That's so cool. I might take you up on that. Just letting you know.
Absolutely. 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 I have 3 bedrooms. What am I gonna do?
Oh,
I'm not
that's
gonna
so nice.
sleep in three of them. So Mitch, the same to you as well. Please do come.
Thank you.
That would be great.
Thank you. And Uma, it was really, I know I was quiet on the show, but I do enjoy listening to you and hearing what you have to say. And I always listen. So just thank you for being on the show, and thank you for spending all this time with us. It has really been very interesting, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you very much.
Thank you
Yes,
so
thank
much, guys.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's
And Mitch,
just wonderful.
we need people who listen as well. So thank you for listening. And Mike, thank you for talking.
Next time I'll talk less and kind of just give you the floor more.
Oh, I don't know how to talk at all. Like you're gonna give me the floor. Thank you guys. Have a good one. It's late for you, I know.
Oh,
We'll catch up
okay. Thank
again.
you so much.
I'll send a few more artwork through the email that you guys are sharing. Okay?
Yeah, and send that the blog guy too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
I'll
right.
do.
And then we'll
Thank you.
we'll
Go ahead.
schedule another call.
Sounds good. Thank you guys.
Fantastic.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All
Bye bye.
right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was great, dude.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
Calm down.
No. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. I wonder what's going on with the microphones, though.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this whole podcast, right? This entire episode. It's crazy. We keep getting blinked out.
Dude, I think it's the intelligence community
Yep.
and they who work with the aliens. And so they're
Yeah.
like, oh, no, we don't want you saying that stuff.
Well, you were really excited. I mean, it was great. We could have. Well, we did talk to her forever, but that was a lot of fun. Did you have a lot of fun talking to her?
Yeah, I just feel like I talk too much. I was just so excited to be speaking to someone who knows all about all the stuff that I've learned, pretty recently.
So I didn't get to ask her, but I was going to ask you a question. So in the Hindu religion, so there's not a god, right? There's not like a god like we picture a god, or like people think of like in Christianity, right? You guys just have like an energy. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah. Actually, I've been saying it wrong. I should get the term correct. I think God is a well, I think it's okay to say too. She called it morphogenetic, maybe, or so. I might be getting it wrong, but I think it's okay to say morphic field. God is a morphic field, and so that's a field of energy, actually a field of pure potential that can shape it, turn into anything, and
Oh, okay.
like morphing, shaping.
Oh, okay.
So, and then people describe that field of infinite potential that can take shape. So it's a morphic field because it can morph into whatever it wants to. And they describe it as the most common way. My experience in meditation is it's love. It's meaning love, like formless, timeless, pure, unadulterated love. And then, and so that's why I think when Christians say God is love, I feel like they're 100% correct. God is the very energy of love, and that love can take different shapes and stuff.
Okay.
But then it's not an old man on a cloud. And yeah, it's an energy field, really.
But he could morph into an old man on a cloud.
Oh yeah, and
Okay.
probably frequently does.
Remember that old remember the TV show, or no, I guess it wasn't a TV show, but the movie from I don't know if it was 70s or probably the 70s, maybe the 80s. Oh God, Our God, with George Burns as playing God.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good movie for the time. It was funny. It what's that? Was that John Denver, the singer that was in it?
Yeah, John Denver was in it with George Burns, and
Yeah,
I, I think they made like 5 of those, didn't they? I didn't really see the other ones. There was
yeah,
like Oh God, Book 2, and then
yeah. But I mean, it was that was back in the day when just comedy was comedy,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And but yeah, that's a good one if anybody ever gets a chance to wants to go back in the day and watch a comedy with George Burns. Probably a lot of people. God, think about it. A lot of people don't even know who George Burns is.
Probably
But
not.
but he was just a funny. He was Colonel Sanders kind of.
I love George Burns. I thought he was
Yeah,
a brilliant comedian.
yeah,
Um,
funny guy.
but that movie raised a lot of interesting spiritual questions, and then dealt with them comically, though.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, that was a fun movie. I'm not sure any of the sequels were worth anything. I
Well,
know
like
they
normal.
made one called "Oh God, You Devil," where George Burns played God and the devil, and I thought, well, that sounds like it's got potential, but I don't think I ever sat down and watched it.
Yeah, no, but the original one where I like it where he's all like, "Well, prove to me, prove to me that like you're God, make something miraculous happen," and he's all like, "Make it rain," and so he's all like, "Okay," so they're driving down the road and God starts to make it rain, and he was all, and I think if I got it right, um, John Denver, the guy's all like, "Well, that's not really much of a big deal, making it rain. I mean, it could have just been a cloudy day." He's being like that, and then God's sitting next to me, goes, "Yeah, but it's raining in the car."
I'll have to watch that again. I think I've totally forgotten it, but I remember loving it as a kid.
Yeah, it's
There
definitely
were like priests and rabbis and stuff, and doing like field trips, though, taking religious school students, Sunday school students, to go see that movie, though.
oh wow,
Because they were like, this comically raises real spiritual issues. So it was quite popular, but popular in the churches and synagogues and stuff too.
yeah, it was a good classic.
Yep.
So I don't know that we'd want to give it any flushes, but
I don't remember it well enough to. I'm afraid
yeah,
if I watched it again now, I think it was really dated and dislike it.
yeah,
But I can say when I was like, I think I was like 9 years old or something when that movie came out, that I thought it was great then. I thought it was
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah, and you were kind of, it's funny, just going back to the show and talking to Uma. You were like, you reminded me of a little kid in a candy store.
It's
You know,
exciting for me because I don't really know anybody who studied and learned what I've learned. I mean, again, I treasure my conversations with you because you're open-minded enough to like hear me and talk about it and debate it, and I love to get your Christian side of it. And I mean, we've had some really cool conversations that way, but I don't know anybody who I can sit down with and is like, oh yeah, it's this and this and this, and it's what I know. You know what I mean?
right?
Like
Yeah,
someone who, yeah. So
I
that was
understand.
really refreshing. Plus, she's a very nice woman and very
Yeah,
charismatic and personable, and so it's just fun to talk to a person like she's very spirited.
yes, she was, and in fact, we've got another episode coming with her.
Okay.
So, that's always fun. And
Well, and I hope we're going to have her on future shows too. I think she was into that. Well, I will say too, since we'd already recorded these shows, I keep collapsing, going back and forth between acting like, oh, here we go with this brand new interview, and then also realizing, well, no, I was there. We recorded that already. But I think the other material with her might be interesting too, because I did feel like I talked too much
during the interview, because like you said, I was a kid in the candy store. I was so excited to talk to someone who knows about all this stuff that I've learned. But I think I talked too much, and so in the later material, I backed off completely and tried to stay quiet, and then have you as a Christian like talk to her more than me to sort of like get into all of those issues, you know?
Yeah, and that was fun. So that's coming up on you know, our next episode with her, and it, you know, it is actually different. It is an opportunity for me to, you know, I was able to think about these shows and, like you said, listen to the information, and then I had some questions about some experiences in my life. And so, yeah, it's a definitely an intriguing conversation going forward. So,
and for those of you who are irritated by me, you won't hear much of me.
Say it isn't so.
No, I specifically zipped it. I was like, all right, I'll let Mitch talk, and I know that the other episodes, again, like you just said, raised a lot of questions in your mind. So let him get that stuff out and get that resolved. And so it's The Christian Strikes Back. The first episode was a new Hindu. And then the next episode was The Christian Strikes Back.
Followed by The Return of Uma.
It'll be the return of Christ consciousness, or the return of the spiritual age, or the return of the spiritual being for everyone, I think. See, like you as a Christian say Jesus Christ is coming back. And yes. I, with what I've learned, say it's Christ consciousness returning. But in both descriptions of that event, what happens for humanity is that we all become very spiritual.
Yeah. Well, first we all get our asses kicked.
Yeah, that's what's happening now.
Yeah.
And then, in my opinion, like after that, we're all going to be really spiritual.
We're going to be something.
We're going to be something. Yeah.
Yeah. People get ready.
People get ready, man. We're going to be all happy and spiritual soon.
Two Men with a Mic is produced at Clothes on a Hanger Studios. You can reach them at the number 2menwithamic.com.